Minister Pravin Gordhan will deliver. When I should have said this afternoon, it's going to be at 2 o'clock to be exact, as opposed to this evening. It is this afternoon, 2 o'clock. But what I am sure of is that this morning, Leanne is in Cape Town. Leanne, good morning once again to you.
Thanks very much, Ayanda. Yes, indeed, the budget, that's what we're focusing on here this morning. That's why we have come down to Cape Town, standing here where Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is going to be addressing the nation this afternoon and talking to us about how our money is going to be spent. Well, let's chat to an economist who's with us now to unpack some of the issues and what many people have been calling the biggest budget speech since the dawn of democracy in 1994. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Thabi Leoka, who is an economist from Argon Asset Management. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
We keep saying his biggest budget since 1994. Not that he was finance minister at the time, but you know, just the fact that it is the weight on his shoulders is huge. I mean, is this an exaggeration or not really?
Not at all. I think that there are a few points that I'd want to make in terms of why it's the biggest budget or the most significant budget we've had. Firstly, it comes at a time when we are one notch above being downgraded to sub-investment grade. That means that raising debt overseas or raising debt in the capital markets will be very costly for South Africa. Secondly, it also comes at a time when this is a minister that's been in his position for 5 weeks and GDP growth is ailing. So we've got very weak GDP growth and we need that for revenue and to close the budget deficit. So this is what we're anticipating. How is he going to save South Africa from being downgraded? And so a lot of weight is on his shoulders.
How real is this downgrade? We're all emphasizing this junk status downgrade and that we're not far away from it, but the reality of South Africa being there and the pressure to not go there on the finance minister, I mean, how big is it?
It's very significant. And so the review for S&P will review the country in June, and then the second review is in December. So basically we have to turn the economy around and convince rating agencies before they meet in June and also decide on whether they will downgrade us again in December. So we have to send a very strong signal to them that we take their their decision seriously, but also we're committing to reforming the economy.
He has a balancing act because, I mean, the reality is that he has the money, but we also have a massive deficit. Yeah. And, I mean, how is he going to get around something like this is the big question. What do you foresee?
Yeah, so he I think that he's going to reduce the spending ceiling. So he's going to reduce the money available to him. That's been Minister Pravin actually started reducing he capped the ceiling when he was a minister previously, and so with every year we've seen the ceiling decline, and that means that we have less actually to allocate to either government departments, also development. What we will see is that he's going to affirm what the president said about spending. So he's going to cut wasteful expenditure, traveling costs, entertainment costs, catering costs, but that's not enough. He's going to start looking at the revenue side of the budget, increasing taxes. Personal income tax is likely to increase. We also could see an increase in VAT, although it's contentious, but it's something that could be done, very possible. I don't see corporate income tax at the moment. That's because corporate profit growth has been quite sluggish. But we're also going to see likely to see fuel levies go up, capital gains tax, sin taxes go up. So basically, the consumer is going to be knocked by all these taxes. The risk here is that these tax increases are going to slow economic growth, which we need in order to increase revenues, which we need to close the deficit that we're trying to do in order for us to help the health of the fiscus and prevent us from not getting downgraded. So he's in a very, very difficult position, and all these elements are feeding into each other, and if he doesn't get it right, we could be downgraded.
Wow. You've depressed me, because now I'm going to be paying everything. I mean, we basically by the end of today, we're going to be paying a lot more for everything. I mean, it's just taxes, VAT. I mean, if that does happen, it's just, sometimes we say it's the people's budget. This year, I'm not sure we're going to say that at all.
Not at all, and also it comes at a year where we have municipal elections, so it's a very, very difficult one politically. But I also think that this is a budget that's going to be market friendly, so it's going to look at what the market has been saying about South Africa in terms of, we need growth, we need to close the deficit, both the current account and the fiscal deficit. And this is the time for us to do it. And also, I mean, we've seen a lot of dialogue between government and the private sector. So hopefully out of that, we'll come up with solutions in order for us that will help us grow the economy. But we need to actually take I think two very, very difficult steps. One is we need to look at the wage bill. The wage bill is one of the largest item on the budget, and our wage bill is growing. And if you remember that last year we got there was a 3-year wage agreement that was signed, and so the next 3 years we're going to see increases in the wage bill. And that is a real problem for the budget.
That's a big burden, and I think that's one of those issues that needs to be addressed. I mean, we saw budget cuts with department travelling, as Thabi was telling us, but the reality is that our government is exceptionally big. I don't think we've ever had as many ministers as we have got, and of course, the repercussions of that with departments and travelling, all of that is a very, very big issue and may very well be addressed here today. Thank you. Thanks for talking to us. And not good news, but nonetheless very informative and putting us in the picture. Thabi Leoka is an economist with Argon Asset Management. Let's take a break here on the program. When we return,